the working class rising up. This is the ruling class punching down.
My day is bigger than your day.
First rule of gladiator school, bro. Don't punch down.
Charging into a goblin's Hail Trump!
The threat from outside forces is far less sinister, dangerous, and grave than the threat from within.
Control your own body.
We will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country.
We can fight the entire gambling system. Nobody can. But together, everybody can.
I did nothing wrong.
Hello and welcome to Did Nothing Wrong Live, the show that cuts through the noise and helps you make sense of the chaotic information space around us. I'm Griff Somke, and with me is Karl Folk. In today's episode, we talk about the Epstein Files, as well as the strange and somewhat telling response from the Trump administration. We also discuss why certain Democrats think it's a distraction, and that we should be talking about the upcoming budget, which last time I checked wasn't something they could actually do anything about, but it's probably better for their fundraising. And we'll talk about the new ICE propaganda video that just dropped and why it's a really bad thing to release stuff that can be memed like it already has been. Thanks again for your support. Keep listening to learn more, and remember to smash those like and subscribe buttons, just like those poor MAGA folks' illusions about how the Epstein Files were going to take down the deep state. So, Karl, it seems like we finally have confirmation that they are indeed not like us.
It's true. And, it's rare for us to reference Kendrick on here.
But they started it. They started it.
Yeah. It's true. And I mean, it's really tough, right? Like, this is one of those tough ones we've all known, right? Like, this isn't something that's been magic for us.
Nope.
And yeah, it's always tough to know what's real in the case of a massive conspiracy theory that the Epstein file has been for a lot of parts of the, kind of the base. But yeah, no, I mean, this is just kind of more confirmation that Trump's a fucking liar, right?
It's like, I don't know if I'd have believed it if he hadn't reacted like this. I mean, if he had just kind of blown it off, I'm not sure I would have believed anything was in there, but his reaction is just so like, dude, why are you doing this? Either you're in it or somebody you owe a lot of money to is in it, and they're telling you, put this away.
Well, this is such a major part of MAGA's like underpinning ethos, right? Like, this is such a huge part of kind of the right-wing movement's inner monologue, however we want to talk about that. Like, for this to go down this way is major. It's shocking to me always how stupid the thing is that really goes to the heart of Trumpism, and it shouldn't, right? Like, we've all been doing this a long time professionally, but like, yeah, it's mind-boggling that this is the thing that for them is going to end up being a thorn in their side for the rest of this administration and as far into the future as certain parts of MAGA can make it, right?
Oh, yeah. I had somebody ask me the other day why this is the stuff that's really breaking through and not the other 20 or 30 or 50 or however many women it has been that have accused him credibly of sexual assault.
Yeah.
And my response is simply that they built the Epstein Files up into this mythical document that was going to smite their enemies, take down the deep state, send Bill and Hillary to prison, everything they've been fantasizing about for all these years. And then all of a sudden, we're not supposed to pay any attention. It's just a complete propaganda job, right?
Yeah. And I mean, that's just it, right? Like, this has been core to QAnon. This is to the Clinton death count stuff that they used in differing shades for a long time. This is core ethos, core mythology stuff.
Yeah.
And for Trump to basically say, haha, fuck you.
Which is what happened.
As he's done to everything else. Yeah. This was a major thing, as much as like, even, for me and for others within the kind of counter misinformation world, it's really hard to grapple with the fact that the Democrats are really leaning into what was a quote right-wing conspiracy.
Sure.
That being said, this is incredible, right? Like, this is the response we needed a decade ago. to certain things that were much more, let's say, quote unquote, real in that moment, i.e., the rape allegations, the sexual assault.
Right.
Fashion.
It's not like this is the first time Donald
No.
Trump has been accused credibly of something along these lines.
Well, and this isn't the first time that like Epstein and Trump have been invoked together, right? Like this is
There's
something
a
that
fucking picture of the two dudes hanging out together.
there are many
Quotes from one to the other.
Yeah. And this is stuff that for a lot of people has been known, right? Like this isn't some massive secret that just now in 2025 is coming out. It's part of this broader mythology that the right has built, right?
Right.
Like, and it's a core part of MAGA. It's a core part of the QAnon mythos and the conspiracy theory that is. And so for Trump to go against it like this is, I mean, he doesn't.
No.
He obviously doesn't know, and his people who did know, because there's a huge part of this
yes,
that knew exactly what they were doing by weaponizing Epstein.
Right.
I don't think, what I think we're seeing is a group of people who thought that Trump got it and got the story that was being told, got the narrative that was being used, all these things, and it's clear that's not the case. Like, it's clear that
you're absolutely 100% right.
And I think it's clear too that like Trump is the guy that we've always said, which is the only person he's out for is number one, and that is him. And so like for him, this is getting towards that question Jay asked on the show at the beginning of this year, which is at what point does Trump jettison MAGA? At what point is MAGA no longer useful? I think we're starting to get there. And I know I've said that before. This is another step, though, in that process, right? Where I think we're starting to see that this is the Trump show.
Yeah.
Like, as much as it is the Republicans and their conservative pan-right fascist movement that's been built, ultimately, when it comes to Epstein and things like that, the only one that's going to matter here is Donald.
Yeah.
If Donald says it's bullshit, well,
we got to come up with a way to make it bullshit.
Yeah.
We got to come up with that.
This is not going to work for them.
No.
This is something far beyond their control. This is a mythological thing that they've used to build their party. This is a mythological thing that has been a through line for a number now of decades.
Yes.
Within the conspiracy culture that the right has used. And it's also a deeply ingrained now part of kind of broader culture, like outside of the far right.
Oh, yeah.
Where, Trump and Epstein have been always kind of linked within this, kind of conspiracy, but also within what we know to be true.
Right.
And so that's a really unique place for specifically Trump to be, but more broadly for like the culture.
Yeah.
Right. Especially the right wing. This is the first time where there's real, not just scrutiny, but a level of.
Well, there's a level of fear. The reaction on the part of these people has been terror.
Oh, yeah. No, they're scared shitless that Trump is actually the deep state.
I mean, they're asking the same questions we are. Like, if he's not in this, why? Because right now, in my opinion, the safest political bet you can make, if you're a politician in America, is to call for the release of the Epstein Files. Call for it as hard as you can, because there's only one reason why you wouldn't be supportive of this, and that's if you're in there.
Well, yeah. And I mean, my view is let everyone in there fucking burn.
Right. And here's the thing. Like, I'm not in the files. You're not in the files. So why are we saying anything else, right? This is obviously something your opponent hates. Why would you not at this point?
I mean, I have some arguments based on just the conspiracy culture side. Those are really low level concerns when it comes to like actually getting to the thing that we need to, which is destabilizing the regime. Right? Like
nothing has destabilized them like this.
No. And this is scaring, even if it's not scaring the base, which it appears to be doing.
Oh yeah.
It's scaring the shit out of the White House. Right? Like we've never actually seen the White House have to do true like political spin. They've done a lot of propaganda spin and stuff over the years, whether that's during the first term or now, where they've done like the propaganda lie. This is something that feels much more fundamental to them and much more fundamental to the survival of their coalition and the pan-right movement that they've built. And in the years that I've done this, in the years that you've done this, we've come across this in differing shades and ways depending on who we're talking to. But I know when I've done in some of my research capacity, what I've seen is that this is a make or break.
Yeah.
For certain parts of the furthest fringes of the right, this is one that, I mean, this is canon shit. This is high pantheon of conspiratorial unreality, like the world they've built.
Sure.
So for that, you know, this is schism time, and we should be trying to foster that schism as much as
we
possible.
Absolutely should.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm fully in favor of like being as understanding and nice to those people that are hearing this and having the scales fall from their eyes as possible.
100%.
Look,
yep,
we understand they lied to you. This sucks. They lied to you big. Now, the question is, once you've gotten your head around the idea that they lied to you about the Epstein Files, what else have they lied to you about? I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to tell you to go do your own research.
Well, and like, you know, I won't even say do your own research. I'll go say read what 25 or 30 of the smartest people in the room have said, smarter than anyone I know have said, whether or not they're Republican or not, and you're going to get a pretty good view of this, and it's not what you've been told.
No. And at that point, you got to decide what you're going to do about it. You know, you're the one that makes the call here from here on out. And I think that there's a lot of people who are at a point right now where they're having that moment, the scales are falling from their eyes, and they're realizing just how thoroughly they've been lied to. And it's really interesting to see.
I think there's a huge group that's happening to. I think there's a fair amount of, you know, the base Republican, let's say, and I'm putting around that, where they really, I mean, truly, I don't think a lot of people really believe Trump. And I don't think a lot of those people believed the next step, the logic of what Trump was saying.
Yeah.
And so we've seen kind of twofold, right? We're seeing a group of people who were definitely in on the most debased white supremacist and like classist, for lack of a better word, attacks. That's one side of this, and they're taking glee in this. We're seeing that reflected in some of the propaganda. But we're also seeing this other part where people, they didn't have a better option. And they made a terrible choice, one that none of us agree with, and a lot of us, especially the hosts of this show, knew to be a choice that was going to destroy them ultimately.
Yeah.
And what they're starting to see is that destruction, I think, is becoming all-encompassing. It's no longer even something that you can kind of dance around. In the first term, like, Trump was bad, but he wasn't this. No. And I will forever say that, right? Like, as someone who was very clear about Trump's intentions, he could never fully enact those. Now he can. Now he has. And in many cases, he's gone into the world of what the furthest right has wanted.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of his base is on board with a lot of this. There's no two ways about that. A lot of his base is racist in the way that he is. A lot of his base is open to flirting with the worst fascist impulses. But the ones who voted because they felt there was no other option are starting to abandon shit.
Right.
And that's a much larger proportion than the one who believes in the extremely destructive, increasingly dangerous fascist structure. And I am of the belief we are not seeing the end of MAGA. We're seeing its restructuring.
Sure. Sure.
And this is kind of one of those major restructuring events that I think some might say is a radicalization event within an already radicalized environment. I'll agree with that. This, though, I think this is going to be the refinement of what MAGA is from the large tent, quote unquote, of the election to the true believers. And the next step is to refine that again. And we'll see how far that gets them. But that, to me, is what this feels like, right? Is it's going to turn into a restructuring. And for those who are fully on board and can never do the mental gymnastics of saying this mythos was wrong, they're going to shed those people.
Yeah.
But they're going to retain a much more radical, much more, I think, extreme, for lack of a better word.
Sure, it's a
version.
shit test. It's like how much are you willing to deny what your eyes are telling you and your ears are hearing?
Yep.
If you are willing to do that, then you are ready to take the next step. And it's fascinating looking at the reaction on the part of like the right-wing sphere, the right-wing media sphere. I mean, like, there's a headline on Fox right now. It's "Watch, Nancy Pelosi silent on why Biden did not release Epstein files." And it's like, this is their attack. They're now going off on Biden for not releasing these files when he was president. And it's like, that's the best you can do. That's the absolute best that you've got right now. Oh, you're fucked.
Well,
you're fucked.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, we're also seeing, like, at the same time we're seeing all this, restructuring the bullshit, all of this, we're also seeing pretty explicitly they have nothing.
Yeah.
There is nothing here. This is the facade of something. And, I mean, it goes to what you and I have talked about, what I have written about pretty extensively, that, like, this is an unreality state, right? Fascism requires a level of unreality to sustain itself. But what we're seeing right now is just how brittle and thin that really is. And I think, I've been reticent just purely based on, like the conspiracy nature of the Epstein files in the past, right? To fully embrace them, but seeing how much it has worked and seeing how much that Trump is trying to triangulate out of it, the more I've come to believe that, like, this is something that has some power insofar as an inroad, right? It allows for a broader conversation to happen, and it allows for people within the kind of what was once hermetically sealed right-wing bubble to maybe hear other things for a second or two, kind of in this transition, and that's incredibly powerful. It's not the whole ticket to beating this, but it's a huge inroad.
Absolutely.
That's being exploited very well. I like, from what I've seen, this is some parts of the party aren't doing it well on the Democratic Party messaging towards it.
No,
but the actual influencer, like liberal Democratic influencer economy,
they're smart about this. They've seen this coming.
And it's an understanding too of, like, the actual narrative that the right using Epstein and child abuse and CSAM and all this, like, using that against them is incredibly powerful.
Right. And it's like, now we've got the Wall Street Journal out with a report that says that Trump wrote a letter for Epstein's 50th birthday. And it was weird and creepy and had drawings. And Trump is, of course, threatening to sue the Wall Street Journal. In fact, supposedly he has filed a suit for like $1 billion or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
The Wall Street Journal, of course, isn't backing off. This is a Rupert Murdoch paper. This is an interesting sea change that a guy like Murdoch is prepared to absolutely put this out there and let Trump deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those weird ones, right? Like
Yeah.
you've got titans of the right wing world now fighting. Um, I have some very big concerns insofar as like Trump's urge to attack media without this being like a magnet for this guy.
Yeah.
With that being said, like let him go after someone like Murdoch all day because
Sure.
Murdoch may be the only one with the money and also the just total inability to not do it to
Yeah.
fight it.
Yeah.
And
And I'm
really,
absolutely in favor of these two fighting, for the record. I absolutely, it's a let them fight moment for me. And please, please, please.
All of humanity will do better the longer that Murdoch, Enterprises, and Trump fight. There's no part of me that doesn't believe that. But like also this is one that for me, if they are smart authoritarians, it concerns me. I don't know if they're smart authoritarians. This is a week in and week out thing for me with them where I don't, like they have all of the urges, impulses, and goals to be deeply effective authoritarians.
Right.
This is going to prove it in one way or another. They've affected bribes from most of the major news in this country in one way or another, whether that's through parent companies with stuff like Paramount, and they're controlling the language sphere, right? They're controlling the information sphere very effectively outside of this.
Yes.
I have some concerns as to Trump's impulse to go after media, the silencing and chilling effect he already has, and what's gone on with stuff like CBS, Paramount, the parent.
Oh, yeah, paying him lots of money and getting rid of any talent he thinks is problematic. Yeah, that's a problem.
That's a huge problem. That, to me, is directly in the same world as what we're now going to see between him and Murdoch. And, as much as I am very happy to see two titans of assholery fight, I am deeply concerned about what that says about media in the United States under a Republican regime, purely because if Trump's going to go after Murdoch,
who isn't on the block at that point?
Well, he's already extracted his pound of flesh from everyone else. And, for me, I'm more concerned that this is a restructuring, not an actual fight in the way that we normally would see them, because DOJ isn't going to side with Murdoch.
No.
Right? We already understand that to be the case. So this is something different. It's important. It's incredibly powerful, and it's already destabilized Trump, so we need to continue it.
Right.
But it also, this is a real scary escalation against the press.
Oh, it absolutely is.
And I hate having to say that about Murdoch because fuck Rupert Murdoch.
Oh, absolutely.
He's a bitch.
The man is a war criminal. The man is an absolute war criminal in a just world. He would finish his fucking life in the hog.
For once, I didn't have to say it, but Murdoch
absolutely, he's a war criminal. I think most of these guys are war criminals. Don't get me started on Alex Jones, but it's very much a.
Alex is just a fucking crook, right? Mm-hmm. Like he's not. Sorry, Alex, you're not smart enough. You're not a war criminal.
Sorry, fuck you.
You're purely stupid. I'm not sorry either. Actually, you know what? Fuck you, Alex.
Fuck you. I'm not sorry.
Get angry at me. I'd actually like another angry Alex Jones diatribe angled at. No, the reality is like this is one of those bizarre ones where it's good that it's happening.
Yeah.
Right. This fight is happening. It's also very, very bad.
Sure.
In the larger sense of like infrastructure of authoritarianism and the restructuring of key institutional power.
But I think this is a fight that had to happen. I don't think this was going to be a.
Yep.
I think this was absolutely necessary, and I think that
there's no other way.
Outcomes are going to end up being better for society, for democracy as a result of this.
And if we two for this right now, and Rupert Murdoch gets nuked by his own base, and Trump nukes his own base, everyone wins.
Whoever loses this fight is absolutely somebody who deserves it.
it's one of the rare times that everyone playing deserves to lose, and whoever loses is going to. It's going to be good for everyone.
It
else.
absolutely is.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Kendrick Lamar, since we started out the show talking about Kendrick Lamar and how those people in the White House just ain't like us. And he popped up again on the radar in the sphere the other day when ICE released the following video of their little jaunt through Los Angeles the other day when they, shut down traffic around MacArthur Park. They had all kinds of people running. They filmed a video. That was all this was. And they, in an absolute we have an amazing set of balls on us. We are using one of the most famous rappers that's ever come out of LA, Kendrick Lamar, as the soundtrack for this. Check it out.
I got royalty inside my DNA. I got power, poison, pain, and joy inside my DNA. I got muscle, though, ambition, flow inside my DNA.
And I thought the one from last week where they were doing God's Gonna Cut You Down, the Johnny Cash song with the ICE propaganda and the Christian nationalism was bad. This is almost somehow worse because you saw how it got made and then you see what they've actually turned it into.
Well, and I think that's the part that for people going forward is going to be more powerful, right? Is that they're seeing like 100% balls to the wall state violence being used as a photo op. And if you're watching this, big air quotes. It's a photo op, right? And like, this is the thing with fascism, but more specifically with like techno-fascism, where this is a maintained environment. And so they are going to do more of the propaganda video thing right now than the violence. And the violence is secondary to their messaging, even though the violence is the messaging, which seems really kind of confusing. But when you start to realize, like, they're choosing Kendrick for a reason, right? Like, this is both propaganda, quote unquote, in the way that we understand it, to push a state line. But it's also, this is outrage bait, right? Like, what they're doing is designing a propaganda campaign that is personally shareable.
Right.
So what we're trying to do is design something that for the right wing, they're going to show clean clips. They're going to do kind of the traditional, like, look at what we're doing. We're doing white supremacy violence, blah, 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 blah. Let's have fun and get weird about it. And then at the same time, they're creating outrage bait for the, quote, liberal and left influencer economy. To bring the message further. And so what we're seeing is something truly, I mean, this is dark fucking propaganda, no matter how you look at it.
Oh, yeah.
But when you realize that they are building it to be shared out of anger, not just out of the look at the neat white supremacy we're doing from their people.
Yeah.
I think that's a real important illumination of what this is, right? And we're getting a view of like this American fascist aesthetic. And between that and the AI generated stuff that we've seen that's really pulling on the deeply racist history of kind of alligators and black folks. And then this window, we're also getting a window into kind of the implicit brutality of what these people want. And like, the aesthetic of American fascism is this very consumerist and yet really nostalgic white supremacist violence. And this propaganda fits right in.
Right.
Like, they're showing videos of guys dancing around in fucking full BDUs and like doing, quote, ASMR, chain fucking videos. But then this new one is kind of this like you said, they're using a video that's supposed to be the emblematic of kind of West Coast community, quote unquote, and West Coast, kind of
Right.
life.
That stuff matters, and they know that.
Oh, well,
they absolutely know that.
This is if, as professionally, if I was looking at this and just like as a professional doing counter misinformation, this is expert. This is expert stuff, and it's made to hit you on multiple levels, not just the white supremacist visceral level that they're going for their people with, not just the brutality of subjugation, which is what they're going for their base with. But then there's this outrage component, and they're really banking on the outrage component to get it further than their base.
Sure.
And that's a really, we haven't seen that before.
No. And they've been flirting with that for a while now, but in terms of like actually being able to pull it off at this level, this is kind of new. And
this is state level propaganda.
Right. They've really cranked that up. And now we're starting to see like what an American fascism art aesthetic kind of looks like.
Well, and I've talked about it a ton, whether that's online or kind of in written stuff, where like that aesthetic fits really interesting into this, quote, futuristic, futurism aesthetic, all these different things. Because for a long time, like the aesthetic, quote unquote, of American fascism was this kind of Elon Musk, Silicon Valley neo-reactionary vision of what American fascism was. But now, like the actual old, kind of, and I say old school here, but what I mean is more traditional political movement is getting it. And I think, for me, what I'm seeing is an embrace of absurd shit.
Right.
But also, it's the embrace of what their base has always been, right? Which is something that is really, really tuned to subjugation, to using Black culture as a weapon to try and use against themselves, right? Like this is right in line with a lot of right-wing and white supremacist attacks throughout history, using their own language, their own art, their own culture against them.
Right.
And this is just kind of the next embodiment.
Well, the one nice thing about this is that they didn't do a particularly good job on this. And
we are so lucky these people are stupid.
Right.
So lucky.
They're stupid in a way that leaves the door kind of open, because one thing you really don't want to do when you're posting cringe like this is make it, shall we say, memeable, like right back.
Right.
Check this out.
Fucking idiots.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great? I mean, we all know that one. Isn't that great? And it just sort of sums up what they are. It's like, this is, you're on the wrong side of this one, buddy. You absolutely are.
Well, it's tough, right? Like when you're playing when the Imperial March edit is a part of like the way that you get described, even if you lean into it, you're fucked. Like, sorry. This is one of those rare ones where, like, you can try and say the Empire was.
We've all seen that apologia for the Empire. We've all seen it. It's.
I mean, funny enough, it's the same one for guys throwing one-armed Roman salutes, which is it's a joke, bro. What do you mean? But like,
why aren't you acting like it's a joke?
Yeah. Exactly.
Why don't you just stop and go on with your life? Why do you live this joke? You know,
you're pretty committed to a joke to get that mustache.
Hell of a committed to the bit, man.
Friend. Yeah.
Seriously.
No, and that's the thing, though, right? Like the right, their whole game is that for a long time their shit was unmemeable, either because it was incomprehensible or because it was like a conspiracy about a conspiracy about a conspiracy, which kind of shielded them. And now, like, they've gotten to a point where things are different, right? Like, people are against their message, but also against what they are. And so, like, this kind of thing is going to become probably more prevalent, just as it was during Trump 1, right? Like, think about some of the videos that came out during the kind of the invasion of Portland.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, the Imperial March was big, Yakety Sax was big. There's a big these people are not hard to meet.
Did you say Yakety Sax?
I did.
I think you did. Check this out. Isn't that perfect? Is that just not like an absolute summation of what these people are at this point? Just fucking Benny Hill shit.
I mean, one of the only constants, right? Like, from the time that I was on the ground in 2020 with a bulletproof vest on in Minneapolis, dealing with what we were dealing with here during the uprising, to now, is Yakety Sax. Like, truly, that song and these people were made for each other, because really, like, Benny Hill, this is the embodiment of it, right? Like, this is a group that's chasing its own ass because it can't figure out how to be fucking normal around people. And, like, as much as, you know, these are incredibly dangerous people, but at the same time, like, they've essentially created a product now that's a meme.
Yeah.
And it's really one of the first times that I think we've seen a full hole in not just the rhetorical armor, quote unquote, of the far right, but in the, like, the shielding that they normally have up of kind of like this ever shifting mimetic format where, like, you can kind of go against it, but there's never really a full, like, hole. And now, like, this has left them open to a lot. And, you know, what we're seeing too, like, outside of this specifically, is just people don't want to be involved.
No.
With what Trump is doing, right?
Why
and
would
like,
you? If you're a decent human being, why would you want anything to do with this?
And I think that hits on a really important point here. Most Americans, we may not agree on a lot, but, like, we do agree on enough to be pretty normal about this, which is, like, this shit's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't normally invoke the crazy clause because of a lot of reasons. This shit's crazy.
It is.
Like, the fascism is incredibly destabilizing. It's incredibly dark. It's incredibly hard for a lot of people to deal with.
Yeah,
but this shit's crazy, right? Like, this shit is bizarre. It's crazy. For a lot of people, they don't want anything to fucking do with this because it's a drain, and they're just trying to make it through their day.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's almost more dangerous because of that, right? Because there's this banal, just like, fuck you quality about it. But like, realistically, the power that they have now, that Trump and the regime, Trump and the Republicans have, is the power that's been given to them. Not much else. And I think that for me has been really powerful in this moment to remember. Like, these people are absolutely going for the goal of a fascist uniparty state. We already are living under fascism.
Yeah.
But they're also deeply incompetent fools. And the more that can kind of get reflected back in the correct way, which is just like, their propaganda is evil, yes. these are evil people doing evil things, but it's also incredibly fucking stupid.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm rereading Behemoth right now by Franz Neumann. Like, probably one of the preeminent descriptions of the Nazi regime, the way it functions, the personal minutia of it, and all of this. I would tell everyone listening, go read some Neumann. But like,
Yeah.
what you realize, this is the same thing that the Nazi Party has in shades, which is a bunch of very venal, very petty, very small people.
Mm-hmm.
But their goal was this horror. And the propaganda does really well at illuminating that in a way that, like, yeah, it's memeable, it's all these other things. But this might be the first time we've seen, I think, the full joy and brutality and catharsis through violence that this really embodies. And I think, you know, the previous videos that we've seen, especially the Christian nationalist, were really unsettling and very, very, very scary for those of us who've done this work. But this feels much more representative of the catharsis through violence than almost anything else we've seen from them. So, like, for me, I am equally horrified and equally just like, oh, you guys gave some weaponry to the other side.
Yeah, absolutely they did. And the horrible part about this whole thing, we use the phrase mask off quite a lot, right? We probably overuse that phrase, but in this case, it really is. This is where the absolute mask came off for this.
We're seeing what American fascism looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, anyone who's listened or read my work or, you know, heard me on this show when I wasn't doing this weekly, I'm pretty clear about that. And this has been one where this is unequivocal. We are getting a front row seat to what American fascism is. And yeah, the white power overtones are there.
Yes.
But like, this is something very different, even from just the overt white power propaganda we've seen. This is celebrating the brutality of subjugating entire groups of people and being engaged in a domestic ethnic cleansing.
And the fact that they're not making any bones about it, I think, is doing a really good thing to put it in perspective, at least for people. You can't look at this now and think, wow, this isn't happening. Yes, it is. Look around you.
Well,
it is happening.
Well, and I think it's tough, right? Like, this country has a real choice between normalcy and acceptance of really hard truths. And at this point, accepting the really hard truth is really bad medicine for a lot of people, for lack of a better term. This is bad medicine. But what this kind of propaganda is doing is making it unequivocal, right? Like, you support this, you're supporting something that is not politics in the way that America has understood them. It's not the traditional, yeah, we're going to do politics. This is a declaration of morality.
Right. It absolutely is.
And these videos are very hard to find any kind of real morality in. And for a long time, the right wing and others, but the right wing specifically, really cloaked their white supremacy and Christian nationalism and white nationalists and all of this in kind of at least somewhat shielded terms.
Right.
And I think what we're seeing now is a more open and confident embrace of those things. And so this is really a continuation on of that, but also, I mean, this is almost a bigger window into the right than them churning out really obscure and really dark AI propaganda.
Oh, like, yeah.
AI is a great oculus and mirror for a user's intent, but this is the thing. And when you've got a system that's using, the White House and these official channels pumping out very specific and extremely dangerous messaging. That's you're getting probably the clearest window we've ever gotten in our lives if we're under, let's say, 45 or 50 for what this thing is, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of people are really struggling with, I think, the minutia of the future, when the reality is they're telling you what they are right now and what they've always been, and that does have a whole bunch of sway on what we
Sure.
become in the future. Sure.
And for anybody with the eyes to see it, for anybody with the clear mindedness, the eyes, the whatever you would need,
Get a clear image of this.
right?
That's it.
You don't have to really visualize much here. They're doing everything that they want to do. They are showing you literally who they are.
Yeah.
And if you
they're
are
signaling power.
right. And the thing is, you have a choice.
Yeah.
You always have a choice. I mean, I'm reading a comment from the LA Sheriff's Department saying that they don't have a choice, that they have to work with these people. It's like, buddy, you have a choice.
That's a damn lie, and you've already made your choice. That's why you're.
I mean, you have a choice, and everybody they prosecuted at Nuremberg had a choice too.
Yeah.
At one point, they made a choice to do what they are doing, and you, sir, are making a choice to do what you are doing. And someday, the following orders defense isn't going to save you.
No, I think that's one of the toughest part for people in general to understand about fascism, but American fascism, all forms, is the power it gains is given to it readily.
Yeah.
It's a choice to allow this force to gain the power it needs to do what it wants. We've given it as a population a lot of power. The population itself hasn't had much say in that because it's elite actors within the established political order giving that power away for us in a lot of cases. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, we don't generally as a population give power to these kind of peoples readily. But what we're seeing is some form, of what I have come to see as elite panic within both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party in the capital, like the purely capital side, where that's really neutered a lot of the ability to have a real conversation because they're more afraid of themselves losing power in a significant way than having a conversation about the danger of, let's say, like, corporate control of our fucking media.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a very small part of a bigger problem. But if you can't have that part of the conversation, then you can't really have a true conversation about Trump's attacks on Murdoch or the chilling effect of taking bribes and then requiring companies to remove key players from their rotation.
Yeah.
And so, like, all of this kind of plays together, right? Where we're seeing like these really stark representations of what American fascism is, but then there's almost no way to have that bigger conversation right now.
No.
Because the media is unable to do so because they've been either effectively captured or are effectively scared of having to pay a bribe to the White House.
And this is where it becomes so important to support independent media.
Wherever you can.
Yeah. If your circumstances permit, please do that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that are doing amazing work right now.
I mean, I will name a couple names right now, and I rarely do that, but like 404 Media is
they're killing it.
They're truly, I was Wired right now, out of this fucking world. You have people like Mercer Cabas killing it. Just scooping every major source out there and bringing context. There are so many places where we can put our money.
Yeah.
That won't support the crazy bad things, but will support real, true, like, knowledge.
Or you can finance somebody who is on the ground and making it like hand to mouth. I mean, like somebody like an Amanda Moore, right? Who we've had on this program a number of times, who is basically flying and traveling around to cover these people, at her own expense because she thinks this needs to get done. We have a lot of people like that on the ground.
And she is right.
Mhm.
Like, and there are so many places too where, like, I mean, because I have a weird side with the indie journalist side as someone who is working and does work with the IWW and WWFJU with like the Freelance Journalist Union and different things like that. There are amazing people out here doing the work that news should be doing, but isn't because they're too broken. And frankly, like, your local newsroom editor needs support too. They might not be out here saying it, but they do because they're getting through too. And so, like, we're talking about things like 404, like these other places. There are so many independent journalists out there. I could name 100 of them right now, like doing work that you need to see to make a good decision based on what you're seeing. That, like, that is the way right now that we can move forward. And it's unfortunate, right? Like, I would love that we would have a functioning media infrastructure. We don't. People like us, what we're doing is one small part of a huge thing that's happening. So, like, when you find that media that's telling you the truth, or is showing you images that you're not seeing. So, like, one of the people that I truly have come to love in the journalism community, because of the context, but also the larger conversation that goes on around it, is someone named Mel Bauer.
Okay.
She's an amazing labor reporter and someone on the ground both in LA and Chicago. And it's that kind of thing where, like, I get true knowledge and information from people like that because they're on the ground. Like, Mel and her people in LA have been on the front line since this began almost 40 days ago now. It's mid-July. They've been on the ground since the beginning of the federal occupation of Los Angeles County.
Yeah.
And so, like, there are a whole bunch of people out here doing this work and doing it in a way that isn't going to float around, let's say, the Epstein level salaciousness, but is going to give you the actual information you need to then be able to gauge something like the Epstein level lasciviousness and ridiculousness in a way that actually reflects the true knowledge of what's happening. Because there are four, 5, 6 things happening at the same time. That's Trump's power.
And that's a really hard thing to keep your head around because you have so much that you got to keep track of with all of this.
Yeah. And that's just it, right? Like, American fascism is a commodity. And understanding that American fascism as a commodity has to be sold is really powerful, because that means if you're not being sold that fascism, you're actually going to do a lot to undermine its ability to be sold, which is a really bizarre thing to say. But, like, if if your brand of fake news is unsaleable because most people are like, oh, you're a liar and fucking kids. It gets a lot harder to sell your vision of American fascism.
Exactly.
And so we're in a very unique place, incredibly dangerous for a lot of reasons, especially if this continues to not actually do anything to stop Trump, but allows him to consolidate. But, like, we're being shown some real, I think, roots to be able to cut out that might kill part of the MAGA tree.
Definitely. And I think that we have to go with this. We have to not be distracted or not start to think that that's what this is.
Yeah. No, and I think too, like I said earlier, it offers a really interesting avenue for people to be able to talk to MAGA followers in a way that they may not have heard before. And it may offer you an inroad to say, look, yeah, you're pissed. You got lied to. The dude's a fucking liar.
Mm-hmm.
That may lead you to somewhere much more interesting.
Yeah. And I think that that's worth, encouraging people to take that journey.
Yeah.
Worth encouraging people who are potentially on the fence. Maybe it's somebody you didn't want a whole lot to do with a couple of years ago, but they might be having that teachable moment.
Yeah, and I think more people, as much as like we're seeing a hardening in some places within MAGA, I think I think we're equally seeing a group probably split off that will ultimately be able to be talked to.
Right. So let's find them. Let's talk to them.
Yeah. Well, and I think the more comfortable we are understanding that some of this is going to have to come through face-to-face, just normal conversation,
yeah,
the more power that's going to have, right? Like, yeah, I would love to see a lot of MAGAs get, have to deal with the repercussions of their actions. We're going to see that for some. But to get to that point, we actually have to probably talk to ones that we might not want to otherwise.
But you know what? That's the work we got to do then. If that's 100%. The work we got to do, that's the work we got to do. There's worse.
100%. I am truly a believer that like your neighbor flying a MAGA flag 4 years ago, but hasn't in the last 4 is probably someone you can talk to and get away from the shiny object quicker than you
think.
think.
Maybe that first conversation isn't about politics.
It's definitely not.
You don't want to talk about politics. You want to come up with some kind of common ground and go talk about that.
Yeah.
Don't have that conversation yet. You're not there.
And most people are rational too. So, like the biggest thing I can say is like most people in MAGA, like if you talk to them like they're your fucking neighbor, because they are, they're going to respond to that in a positive way. And you know what? You might not agree on some basic politics, but I bet you money you're going to get them peeled off from a lot of really weird shit over time.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it. I've done it. I know people who've done it. I've seen people, and as you have, who have pulled people out of truly wild places. And really, it starts with a conversation. It may not end there, but it starts there.
We hope it doesn't end there, but at the same time, you get better at it every time you do it. Yeah. So don't be afraid of it. Go out and have that conversation.
And you know what? Having a conversation with your neighbors is good.
It absolutely is. It's how we get back from all of this.
In part, for sure.